Hey, how's it going? Adrienne Elise here. Happy solstice. I wanted to just pop in and talk about the energy of moving into this new season. So early on Thursday morning, the sun moves into Cancer. And that marks the summer solstice in the Northern Hemisphere, the winter solstice in the Southern Hemisphere. So we're starting a new season, and this summer has some of the most intense astrology as far as summers go. And so we're just kind of moving into a whole new energy. So we're just coming off of this pretty intense Neptune turning retrograde. And I think the reason why we're feeling that so much is because Mars is getting ready to take a retrograde. So Mars is our warrior planet, the male part of ourselves. It's the part that wants to see action taken and results happen. So when Mars goes retrograde, it's a little bit uncomfortable. This happens every 2 years. And so this year is powerful because we've got both Mars and Venus taking a retrograde in the fall. But Mars is getting ready to turn retrograde on the 26th of June. And so we're already feeling this energy. And I think that's maybe why we felt so much these last few days of on Monday, Neptune turned retrograde. And I was sensing some really big energy moving, like collective shadow energy trying to cleanse and purge out of the collective. And so wherever your place is in that, this is like, I was seeing pictures of past experiences. It could be this life, but mostly past lives and our whole human evolution and like darkness and shadow stuff that hasn't been resolved. And groups of people, soul groups that went through traumatic things in past lives, and this kind of energy that's been keeping people from evolving, keeping our collective energy from evolving. This dark shadow energy is trying to purge out. And so that's kind of intense. And so it's like we're moving into this new season. There's kind of this energy of change and hope on some level. And then there's this kind of eddy energy pulling us into the past. So what's showing up in our life right now is what's keeping us from claiming the life that we want. Now, this is really powerful because Venus is in Leo right now. And Venus is been hanging out on the north node of the moon. Now, the north node of the moon represents our future karma. It's like, how are we going to get to where we're going? So the north node has been in Leo here for about a year and until October. And so we've got these last few months of the north node in Leo. And so how are we moving forward? Like, what do we need to do to get to the next place? That has to do with shining our light, with claiming our joy and our own individual creative expression. Now, Venus rules our value systems and what's really important to us, what makes us feel good, and our self-worth as well. So with Venus in Leo, we're kind of having this energy of like, you know, what is the value of this? What is the value of our individual creative expression? What is the value of feeling good, claiming joy? So Leo rules the child. And the child, the energy around, being around children, they've got a lot of energy and they have a lot of joy accessible to them. That's a natural part of the human anatomy. They exist mostly in alpha waves. These are the alpha waves in the brain that make us feel happy and joyful and free and light. And this is kind of what's missing from our evolution right now. We've kind of been like held in this kind of paradigm of construct that keeps us as slaves, basically, and keeps us, just in the daily grind and getting through to the next thing. And Venus is giving us a powerful message right now. It's like, it's kind of like Venus is saying, hey, is this important? Like, does this matter? Can we just keep going on, like doing our daily thing and living our life with our heads down, just kind of getting through? Or is it time to open up to the cosmic light and the love and that's available to us, but that's been kind of manipulated out of our reality through this false mechanical grid? And so Venus is saying they're hanging out on the North Node. It's like, not only is this important, it's like absolutely essential. Like basically we don't get to go. We can't go any further. As in our human evolution, we kind of have a choice. We can go ahead and become robots and just and just be in the grid of this artificial intelligence cutting us off from the natural wonders of the world and our natural, organic, beautiful cosmic energy that's available to all of us. Because guess what? That's what we're made of. That's who we are. But we're all so cut off from this energy, kind of like just getting through life. And especially with that Neptune turning retrograde, it's kind of like, wait a minute, like it's, the season's changing, in the Northern Hemisphere, summer, it's getting brighter. It's like, but it feels kind of like, there's this unspoken, hidden, shadowy energy that's just kind of like, pulling us down into the eddy, right? And so Venus is saying, hey, like we don't get to go until we can claim our joy and claim our individual creative expression, which is so powerful. That's what this North Node in Leo is saying, that this is the way forward. You guys, we've got to claim our individual expression and what makes us feel alive and gives us zest for life, and a lot of people are like, I don't even know, what is that? Like, is that even possible? So Venus is giving us some strong messages right now. Now, it's interesting because what happens is that right now, Venus is right there on the North Node, and then it moves off the North Node and comes into an opposition with Mars. So this is really potent because Mars and Venus, Mars is our male side. The warrior wants to make outward action in the world. Venus is our inner life and what makes us feel good and what we really care about. And so the feminine. And so we've got the masculine, the feminine parts of ourselves across from each other on the zodiac. Now there's a really beautiful energy here in oppositions, because oppositions are like tension, tension, tension. But at some point there's an exact opposition. And that's when we can see the other side and kind of have this magic occur. So this happens, the Venus and Mars opposition happens the day after the solstice on the 22nd, but we're already feeling that, and we'll feel it through the 24th. So we're kind of, this whole week has this kind of Venus-Mars opposition energy going on. And it's kind of a beautiful message. Again, the stars, the cosmos is just coming through for us. If we want to pay attention, we have all the messages that we need to be able to adjust and shift to what's trying to happen in our reality. So Venus is they're both in male signs. Venus is in Leo and Mars is in Aquarius. Now, this is such an important axis right now. This is where the eclipses happen this summer, because the eclipses happen when the sun and the moon line up with the nodes of the moon. So we're having this energy of like Venus in Leo, and that's like, oh, wow, this is important to me to be able to have my own autonomy, to have my own expression in this world, to have my joy, to have a childlike joy, a zest for life, and an ability to shine my light and bring forward what I came here to do. And then Mars in Aquarius is right there on the South Node. So Mars has just crossed over the South Node of in Aquarius. And the South Node is our past. It's like our past karma. It's like what's holding us back, like what's keeping us from moving forward. And so in Aquarius, it's about trying to bring in a new vision of humanity. But are we going to get caught up in the technology and the groupthink and the mind control and losing ourselves to this reality, to this paradigm? Or are we going to keep our organic sense of self through our creative expression in the Leo? So Aquarius energy, this Mars retrograde in Aquarius just flavors this whole summer. And it's so intense because Mars, like we talked about, it wants to make stuff happen and see the results of action. It's a warrior. And Aquarius is kind of like, whoo, out there, it's kind of like not really in your everyday reality. It's more about trying to tap into the higher knowledge of the cosmos and a visionary way of seeing the future. And how can we, so it's like, first of all, Mars isn't that comfortable in Aquarius in the first place. And then it's retrograde. And Mars kind of hates the retrogrades because it's like, I want to go and make stuff happen. But retrogrades means action on the internal landscape. So we're kind of like revisioning our life. And the whole message of this Mars retrograde is, how do we move forward in this new age? Do we even know how to? Because going and creating war, the warrior energy and the violence and like trying to create change that way is, obviously not really working for us anymore, humanity. And it's something we've been programmed to do anyway. It's not really who we are and what we want to be. But so I'm going to do a video, go ahead and check it out on my YouTube channel around this Mars retrograde that starts next week on the 26th. So just really potent energy about not being able to move forward because we're not going the right way. You know, we got to make some fundamental changes in our individual lives to be able to move into the new, you know, like we want to bring in this new energy, but we're stuck in the past and we're stuck in the patterns of the past, of the programming that says, well, this is how you do it. We've always done it this way, right? It's like, no, you're going to butt your head against the wall. And that's the deal with this Mars energy. It's a powerful thing to have Mars just before it turns retrograde in this opposition with Venus and speaking to the value of our individual creative expression and the mistakes of our past and human evolution when we lost our individuality to technology. And this is kind of what's happening now. It's almost like, it's interesting maybe with that Neptune, because Neptune rules Pisces and it rules fantasies, delusions, our connection to source, but also in Pisces and turning retrograde, it's kind of bringing us into this past, the eddies of the past, and kind of deep subconscious stuff that we don't even understand. And, you know, so it's showing us again what's in the way, like what are the patterns that are keeping you from claiming your steps into the future? And, you know, would you rather be in the past? Are you, you know, is that what's more comfortable to you? This is kind of it's uncomfortable time, you know, and Mars wanting to move forward, but it can't. And how do we do this? Like, we're just in this, you know, it just is this whole energy. This summer is this adjustment period of time because we're in this massive adjustment time. 2018 is like an adjustment. It's kind of like, okay, we're having these big shifts of energy. We're not really seeing the manifestations in our outside world yet. And like, how do we even go forward, you know? And so it can be this feeling of butting our heads against the wall. But then, you know, the message with Venus is like that the value and the essential value of joy and our individual creative expression. And so that's what this summer is. So, I mean, the sun moves in July, it's in Leo, and in August. And so it's like, that's when we're going to have the eclipses as well. And it's like, so we're just having all this energy around reconciling our past and moving into the future. And that's what the eclipses are about as well. So with Venus and Mars coming together in these right on the nodes, it's just like, just a huge reevaluation of how we think we're going to get to where we're going. And it's kind of frustrating because it feels like you can work your whole life to get to this certain place and then realize that it's not where you want to go. And then all of this work you've done, was it for anything? Like Mars has this frustration around, you know, not being able to see the palpable physical change in the world. And that's going to be the major energy. So I'm going to come forward with some suggestions and some more information, details on the Mars retrograde in my Mars retrograde video. So check that out. I've got this great special going on to float through summer and use this time to make these great internal adjustments and be ready to move forward in new ways in the fall when the energy really shifts. And there's a 3-session coaching package, and it turns out to be $88 a session. Really great. And you've got my support and the universe's support at your back as we work together through these energies and make the most of what's really happening, what these really messages are about, and claim back this zest for life that we're talking about. So consider that, and I hope you have a wonderful solstice, happy summer, and enjoy the summer. Sit tight and just let the energies shift and change inside of you, and don't worry too much about your outward reality because it's in flux. And, you know, that's the thing. First, there's energetic changes, then you see it in the physical. And we're in that place right now in our whole cosmic reality. And so the changes that need to happen, Mars is like, it's internal, it's Aquarian, it's out there in the cosmos, it's in electromagnetic changes that are trying to happen. It's not about us going and trying to make a bunch of stuff happen in our life or in the world right now. We're getting ready for those outward action steps, and we're getting ready for those new roles that we have in this life and in this world. that makes just like the whole point of why we're here, is starting to land. We're starting to come home here to this reality and fully land here on planet Earth. But right now, we've got some adjustments to do and some changing of the ways of the patterns, changing of the guard, changing of the way things have happened. Now, that brings me to the full moon that's going to be happening on the 27th of this month, Wednesday, the 27th. There's a full moon in Capricorn. And so talk about changing of the guard and precursor into the 2020 astrology is so intense with Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto all coming together in Capricorn. And it's also harkening back to January when we had all that crazy Capricorn stuff going on. And so it's kind of like the rule, the law, the obstacles, what's in the way. But the deal with Saturn is about, and Capricorn energy, it's like, our true authority, an opportunity to claim our true authority and our own sovereignty as a spiritual being, basically get up off our knees and claim this world as humans for ourselves in the way we want it. And also coming up against where you've given your power away in the past to authority. So a very powerful full moon coming up, and I will do an activation on the 26th, that Tuesday, the day before. So I hope you can join me for that. Until next time, have a great summer solstice and celebrating these shifting times. Adrienne Elise, until next time, namaste.